We are? Amazing. Welcome to the Father State YouTube Live. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Apologize for the late start, but we are black, and black people are late. We start on CP time. I'm glad you're here. You love me?
I don't really know you.
Do you have to know me to love me? Yeah, well, I love you.
Thank you.
Are you surprised?
Not really.
Were you surprised that I threw you off the radio show?
Not really.
And one of the reasons I'm concerned about you being a progressive is that...
Me specifically or all progressives?
All men.
Men, only men.
Only men.
Progressive women don't concern you.
It's normal, abnormal for women to be progressive.
Interesting.
Or liberal, but
Wow.
it's abnormal for a man to be a liberal or progressive. It's a sign of being a beta male.
I didn't know that.
Because real men are conservative.
If I became conservative, would I no longer be beta?
You would become alpha.
Wow. Something to think about.
Do you find that it's difficult for young men of your age group, to find good women to date?
Not at all.
Why don't you date men?
I'm not attracted to men.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But would you consider it might be a man? Would you think of it as a man?
Would I think of it as a man?
Right.
It's a person, right? I don't say
Right,
it.
it's a female. The children of the lie, the liberal media, the Democratic Party, the Rhino Republicans, the Never Trumpers.
Okay.
So
So like everybody but Trumpers.
the hashtag movement. Plus you
No, I
seem
don't think
mentally off. You know, like the lights was on, but nobody was home.
You're making assessments of who's mentally off on,
No,
on TV.
But that's how evil the children of the left are. They'll destroy you to get what they want, and that's power and wealth.
I'm curious, if they're so powerful, the children of the
But
lie.
they're not powerful.
Oh, I thought you
I
just said
said
they
that's
were.
what they want.
I thought you said they
would
will destroy you.
They will. They'll destroy you. They'll try to destroy you.
Oh, okay.
To get power and
Gotcha.
wealth.
Gotcha,
Do you
gotcha.
agree with that?
No. No.
We'll bring that up.
The
because-
reason was you've called me a girly man so many times. Remember
that's
we talked
because
about
you're
that?
weak.
Oh, okay.
That's because it's not because I think you.
That I'm gay.
Right.
Got it. Glad we clarified. You know, a lot of people are sexually assaulted and raped, and they don't come forward. And the reason
I don't
they don't
believe
come.
that.
You don't believe that?
That's a made-up lie too.
Oh, who made that up?
The children of the left.
Oh, I should have.
The children of the lie.
I should have known.
They're doing it because they hate men.
Oh.
And they especially hate straight, white, conservative, Christian men of power. If it wasn't for them, America would be a socialist society already.
It would be what?
A socialist society by getting rid of jobs. Many people, most
He
people
took care of people by
got
getting rid of jobs.
full-time jobs, and they had to work 2 part-time jobs in order to survive.
Jesse, you
And
don't
then
even
the
understand
rest-
the talking points
The
you're
rest
using.
free Obama phones.
That's
Is that
socialism?
socialism? But you're not answering the question.
That's the answer.
But I'm
You don't
asking-
like the answer.
You don't understand the question?
I think I understand it.
What is it about the question that's difficult for you? Would you, David Patman, believe it just because she said it?
I liked how you had to check what my last name was there. I would
Would
believe
you-
it enough to investigate it, yeah.
Give me just a yes. I'm black and slow. So give me a simple yes or no.
This is a
Your
circle.
friends are watching right now.
I hope so.
And they're watching because they thought you were going to kick my butt. So you got to live up to it.
I found out this was a
Would-
debate today.
Would you
Can you imagine?
believe it?
Are these really the most important topics for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are there others that are more important for you?
Yeah.
Like what, for example?
Our economic system, wealth inequality, healthcare,
I'm getting to
geopolitics, nuclear disarmament, climate change.
And the
People?
black people go into a trance, and they go in and they just
Yeah.
they reach for the D while eating chicken. And I
that
guarantee you, if they went now and voted for and asked them to vote for it, they'll go with the homosexuals
I hope so.
and the Democratic Party
I hope
because
so.
they have been morally bankrupt.
I
the
disagree with
radical
that, but-
homosexuals have gotten in there and they corrupt the churches. Is there anything else?
Not that I can think of.
That's it.
Yeah.
Amazing. People coming from S-hole countries, and we don't have no idea who's crossing the borders.
Look at that. 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 That is man predator right there.
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you?
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you?
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you? This is just Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. This is just look at that. This is just look at that. This is just look at that. This is just look at that.
Alex Jones is lying to you. That might come as a shock.
Pac-Man.
What?
Pac-Man.
What?
Pac-Man. This is just Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers.
All right, let's not waste any more time with that because we are on a schedule, folks. It is the July David Pakman Show viewer and listener and troll town hall. We are going to be opening up the phone lines on Discord and hearing from you. Questions will not be screened. And I say that not as a good thing, by the way. We should be screening questions. It's potentially going to be a disaster. But we're going to have some ground rules, and we will do what we can. In the meantime, we'll keep an eye on this speech Trump gave just moments ago to what are almost certainly very, very crazy people. And we'll keep an eye on that very, very, very strongly. A few ground rules before we get started. First, people are saying, David, you're not live on YouTube. David, you're not live on Twitch. David, you're not live on Facebook. Where can I watch this crap? I'm live on the second YouTube channel, Pakman Live. Okay, that's the only place where this town hall is streaming. YouTube.com/Pakman Live. Very, very easy. Okay, so that's where you can watch. Now, if you'd like to participate, I'm going to give the instructions, and I'm going to give the instructions once. Okay? davidpakman.com/Discord. davidpakman.com/Discord. If you are not a website member, go into the waiting lobby. If you are a website member, message the moderators to verify your status, and then you will have available the member waiting lobby. Yes, if you pay, you get some priority. We're still going to take questions from everybody. Okay, so everybody relax. Nobody go crazy. The request I have is so that we can get to as many people as possible. Do not give me your life story when I pick up the line for you. Do not give a 5-minute opening statement. Questions are 1-sentence interrogative. So there should be a question mark at the end that makes sense. And I don't want to do this, but I will, if necessary, just cut people and say, you're not asking a question. You've got to ask a question, okay? That's it. You got to ask questions. That's the most important thing. We are in 1080p here. Yeah, it's just bad quality. All right, so why don't we start? Let's start in the regular waiting lobby and test whether people can follow what are, quite frankly, very simple instructions. Very, very simple instructions. Let's go to Sid from Arkansas. Sid, welcome. What is your question today?
Hey, David, I just want to ask, since you're a progressive from Massachusetts, I was wondering if you've seen the PragerU video about JFK and statements from Ted Cruz about Kennedy being a Republican. I'm trying to shorten it as much as I can, but
no,
how do you feel
I haven't.
about
Let me guess what the argument is. I haven't seen it, but let me guess what the argument is. Mm-hmm. I would venture to guess that folks like Prager and Ted Cruz, they know they can't talk crap about JFK because he's so well liked. My guess is they're saying, today, JFK would be in the Republican Party. Is that the gist of what they say?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think that that's true at all. I mean, do you think that's true?
Of course not, because JFK did a lot of things, a lot of progressive things. He advocated single-payer health care, expanded social safety nets, raised wages for working class people, created the Peace Corps, helped advocate LBJ's war on poverty policies while they were in Congress, while he was still alive. So yeah. I wanted to hear a comment from you, considering you're from Massachusetts and all that. So,
yeah, well, remember, I'm from Argentina. I grew up in Massachusetts, but yeah, I'm not really from Massachusetts. About that, but in any case, I'm familiar with JFK regardless.
Okay, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, thank you. Folks, take a lesson from Sid from Arkansas. He knew his question, and he got right to it. Now let's try the member waiting lobby. These are members on the website. By the way, I will, of course, thank people like Con O'Connor. Con just signed up on the website and is new member number 1 today. Now Con has access to the member waiting lobby. Let's test our friends, the members, to see if they can also follow directions. How about, I don't know. Let's go to Clayton from Brooklyn. Clayton, welcome.
Hey, David, thanks for bringing me on.
Pleasure.
The quickest way to ask this, I think, is we've been talking a lot about how the right has gotten much better at, exciting their base, especially the younger crowd, which is very important.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's one of two things? Is the left just not producing the candidates to get the base excited, or I asked a friend that's German and lives in Germany about this, and she says we don't really get that excited for our candidates. We sort of have the best candidate, even if you're a progressive, you vote for them and you let them do their jobs. We don't think about it that much. Do you think the right's gone extreme, or the left is just not producing good candidates, or maybe both?
I think you can argue there's a little bit of both, but the second part you have hit on something. You were really setting the bar very high for this town hall, because you have hit on something that is extraordinarily important. I don't really care about politicians in the sense of going to rallies, rah, 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 the cult of personality and all of it. You know, like when I supported Bernie, sure, I would be interested in interviewing Bernie and talking to him about policy, but I don't care to go to a Bernie rally and stand in line and the cheering and the music and the entire thing. It's just like, oh, if I think his policies are the best, I'd like him to be the president. And that's sort of it. There is a structural issue where the right puts these cults of personality around people, and it's the rallies and the crowds and the sycophancy and all of this different stuff. So I think that to some degree, yeah, it's been a little bit of a period of less exciting candidates for the left. But I have to tell you, people like Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Stacey Abrams, I mean, these are interesting people. But again, I don't care about these people's birthdays and whether they like chocolate cake and whatever. It's just, are you the best option? And then I'll vote for you, and then I'll go on with my life and not have to think too much about who's doing the job. And so there is a cult mentality that the right has, which lends itself to the wrestling style introductions we saw over the weekend at the Turning Point event and the Trump rallies and the entire thing. And it is a structural difference between left and right. Absolutely.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for having me on, David.
My pleasure. Folks, we are setting the bar extremely high here on this town hall. Let's see if we can keep it going. Let's go next to Peter from Michigan in the member lobby. Peter, welcome.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
Oh, I can, but we've got a very, very poor audio quality. Let's hope it resolves.
Oh dear. Sorry, my headset's crappy.
What? Let's not do anything. If you can, move the microphone an inch further from your mouth and we'll probably be okay.
Okay, is it better now?
Oh my goodness, that's so much better.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I'm a political science student writing a thesis on communitarianism. Now, I have no
Sorry,
platform
on what was the word? I couldn't hear. What you're writing it on? What, communitarianism?
Yes. Have you ever heard of the field before?
Never.
Oh, really? Oh, this is good. The leader is actually a Holocaust survivor. He immigrated to Palestine. Amitai Etzioni is his name if you want to Google him. So they advocate for a decentralized collectivist state, and most of them espouse welfare state capitalist economic policies, like in Europe and the rest of the developed world. And so my main this is a passion project because I view that for American leftist candidates, socialism has a stigma attached to it. So
you're absolutely right, Peter. Now, did you have a question for me today?
Oh yes. I was hoping if you could, if I send you my materials, would you read it and maybe help spread some ideas?
What? If you send me what?
My materials, my article I'd like to publish, if you'd read it and help me
I'm
going
to be totally upfront with you. I just don't have the time for anything additional right now. I've got a newborn at home, and she is filling diapers like you wouldn't believe. So my extra time is limited right now.
Even if it would help American progressive candidates, if you'd read it eventually. I understand if it takes you a while, but
Well, it could be years. Are you able to wait years?
Potentially.
All right. Well, then send it on.
Okay.
All right. Very
thanks.
good. Okay. Peter from Michigan on fire. Let's go back over to the non-member lobby. This is a town hall, and we are taking questions. The questions are being asked with peace and love in a direct and clear way. If you would like a fast track to getting on today, you can, of course, sign up at joinpacman.com, a very powerful website. Let's go next to the non-member waiting room, where we are going to speak to, who are we going to speak to? We are going to speak to Tua from Milwaukee. Tua, welcome. Tua from
Hey, Dave.
Milwaukee, welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. First, thank you for the app that allowed me to learn French. I'm learning French to France in the next month. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure.
So my question was, do you ever feel like American exceptionalism is kind of like the cause of what's going on right now?
Tell me what you mean.
Like, you know how like Americans always have this perception that they're so good that they don't need to change themselves to better themselves, that everybody else has to change themselves to kind of catch up to Americans, you know?
Let me see if I understand the idea. You're saying the idea of American exceptionalism implants in people's mind a sort of one-upmanship where they are trying to be better than others, and then it causes problems because Americans end up thinking they're better than everybody. Am I sort of understanding?
Kind of. Well, like, I see this with the right, you know, how like, kind of like how they always say, like, if you don't like it, you go home, you know, just go back to where you came from.
Yeah, which sometimes is the United States.
Yeah. But, you know how like, they look at other countries as like, you know, they're not as good as we, because, you know, we're the greatest country in planet Earth, you know. So
yeah, I mean, listen,
whatever.
I don't think it's the cause of all of our problems, but I do think that in lots of other countries, if you go, is your country the best? People go, well, countries, you know, first of all, it's just chance where you're born. And most countries have pros and cons. The concept of a best country is foreign to much of the world. I think that is sort of uniquely American, but I don't know that it's the cause of all of our problems.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a cause, but I think just having that mindset is, I think, part of the problem with Americans.
I don't disagree that it's not particularly productive.
Yeah, so that's just my question. Thank you, David.
All right, Tua from Milwaukee, beautifully, beautifully done. We're continuing on the town hall. We'll head back over to the member waiting lobby. Everybody will get an opportunity, but we do give a little bit of priority over on the member side. Let's go to our good friend. It's been so long since we spoke to her, and she sponsored so many memberships, Kyoko from Japan. Kyoko, you know, my brother was scheduled to go to Japan for work. 3 hours before his flight, the former prime minister was assassinated and his trip was canceled. Can you believe that?
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I hope he will get another chance.
I hope so. And I hope to make it to
Yeah.
Japan soon.
Yes, please. I just this was my really biggest wish, you know, that someday you will come.
I hope to fulfill the
And,
wish. And it is my own wish as well, Kyoko. And Kyoko, thank you for all of the memberships you've been donating.
Oh, sure. Thank you for saying that. And yes, I today I have a question, and I
Please.
have actually a background for my question, but I'm keeping it nice and short. because
Beautiful. I know
can
you
just
always
speak.
are a professional phone caller.
No, no. Okay, so do you think there should be more regulations or restrictions on cult religions? If so, I'd love to hear your opinions. Really, there is
Well,
a background to the story,
how do you
but yeah.
restrict a cult religion, and who decides if it's a cult?
I know it is very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, okay, so the Japan also, the freedom of religion is secured, and it is really rigorously protected.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some problems sometimes in Japan that some really because anybody can start their own religions, and there are some organizations prey on people in a very vulnerable state, and really that becomes a really a problem.
Absolutely.
So if you see some religions doing some kind of acts, really, I don't know how you can really draw a line, but I think there should be, because there are so many problems that the people donating us so much money, and even to the point of bankrupt, and still these children and their spouses suffer. We should. I thought maybe I have some ideas to restrict them, but
Well,
I
give
would
me
like
one
to.
way that you would restrict cults, but not religion in general.
Yes, that's that.
What's one way you would do it?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I will. First of all, okay, so all the religious organizations, whether called or not, should keep financial records,
Yes.
issue receipts for every transaction, just
Sure.
like other business.
Okay.
And if they, and it too, they should pay tax if they collect more than certain amount of money. And then three, they should return all the money back to the family, return the money to the family if their members' immediate family, like spouses or children, complains. Something
Oh,
like that.
that would in the United States that would not work. It's what I would call too soft and squishy and open to interpretation. Here's what I would say, Kyoko. I think we should dramatically clamp down on the tax exemptions for religion. Anytime there's anything even approaching politics, they should have their nonprofit status removed. There's a bunch of things we could do, but in a country like the United States anyway, where there is freedom of religion, it's very difficult to restrict, quote, cults, but not other religions. To a degree, every religion is sort of a cult. I think it's very difficult to do, but I agree with your intention, which is a lot of people are victimized by these cults, and it would be great to try to help some people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope, sometimes, like more common sense restrictions should be able to be imposed.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Okay.
Kyoko, listen,
Thank you so much.
can I ask a food question, which I always do when
Of
you call
course.
in? Tell me,
Of course.
what is your typical breakfast that you have?
Oh, okay. Right now, my typical breakfast is oatmeal with lots of dry fruits and nuts in it.
Wow, that's not traditionally Japanese, is it?
Right, right. Oh, yes, you are totally correct.
Got it.
But again, not too many people eat traditional Japanese food anymore. And I have a confession to make.
Please.
We talked about this miso soup and all in the past.
Yes, we have talked about
And
miso
I try
soup.
many
I remember.
many good ingredients myself, but I really suck at it. I can't make a really good miso soup.
Well,
I
it's
don't
possible
like
might make better miso soup than Kyoko.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wow.
So
That's a pretty
I'm
major
trying my
revelation,
best.
Kyoko. I don't know that we can really
I
even deal
know.
with that in today's call.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Great talking to you.
Okay,
Thank you
Kyoko,
so
thank you.
much.
Appreciate it. Wow, that is a major revelation. I may be making better miso soup at home than Kyoko from Japan. That's shocking. Let's go next to Rusty Shackelford. Rusty, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Hello, David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, sir.
Excellent. Hey, first time, long time. I really don't have a question of substance here, but the painting's kind of coming to an end. I'm trying to start dating again. I feel like I'm going to be successful, but I'm just missing that one thing.
Okay.
I need your hair care routine, sir. What do you do for that glorious mane?
Oh, all I do is, I do a daily shower, and I do use both shampoo and conditioner at every shower. That's in some circles that's considered controversial. People start telling you it's going to dry it out or it'll create too much oiliness. For me, it works daily shampoo and conditioner. And then I'm still using this is not a sponsor. I would love to have them as a sponsor, but they're not. My American Crew Fiber is the hair product that I use when the hair is damp but not dry. And that's really it.
Well, that sounds like I have to go to Ulta or Sephora or wherever one buys that crap.
Oh, CVS has it. See, you can get it anywhere. Now, I will tell you, CVS does keep it behind it like a lock and key because it gets stolen often.
Huh.
Yeah, you'll just have to ask an employee to unlock it for you.
Well, all right, buddy. I appreciate the information. Move on to the next one. Keep it high and tight. We'll talk later.
All right, high and tight, Rusty Shackelford with a question of incredible substance. Let's go next to the non-member waiting lobby. A few admonitions. Number one, we are live only on the Pacman Live YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that channel. It's completely different content than the main channel. It's an exclusive club of only about 30,000 of our closest friends, not the 1.5 million subscriber behemoth that we see on the main channel. And I would just love to have you as a subscriber on the Pacman Live channel. Secondly, what? I guess that's really it. Oh, no, hold on. Secondly, I did need, there's no other new member to thank. So let's continue. Now in the non-member waiting lobby, we will go next to, we're going to Millie. Millie, welcome. Where are you calling from today?
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Millie.
Oh, hi. I'm calling from Bristol in the UK.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. I was just wondering, I know there's been recently a lot or more of people voting based on character, and that's definitely something that we've recently seen with Boris Johnson in the UK. And I can think that you could probably see the connection with Trump.
Yes.
I was wondering if you feel as if that's somewhere that, if this is just a temporary thing or more like something that will pass and we'll go back to voting based on, policy and stuff like that.
Listen, Millie, I am going to be very upfront with you. To me, it seems as though the move is going to continue to go in the direction of voting based on celebrity, personality, tone, memes, and not based on substantive policy. And the reason I say that is that in general, our media continue to go towards the superficial and away from the deep, towards the shiny rather than the intellectually dense. And there's also a strategic advantage to trying to win elections the way people like Trump have won, which is when you're entertained, people who follow politics more and vote all the time are more likely to care about policy. But when you show up and you're sort of like a celebrity type candidate like a Trump, you can just get people who don't normally vote at all, bring them in, and they support you and you alone. And it's a very bad thing for the country, but it's a very effective way to try to win elections. So I don't see things turning around anytime soon.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Do you agree? I mean, it sounds like you probably don't like that direction.
No, I don't like that direction.
It's a bad
I feel
direction.
like that's also,
It's a bad direction.
yeah, I feel like that's also why we've, especially in the UK, why we've ended up with things like Brexit,
Yes.
with people voting not based on policy, but based on, Boris Johnson and the Conservative Party, and things like having however many £1 million going to the NHS. They see that title in like The Sun or some newspaper, and that they don't dig into the reason why these people were making up these lies, really. So
I agree with you completely. Thank you for the call, Millie.
cool. Thank you for taking my call. I'm a first-time caller, and I've been a big fan since I was like 15.
Thank you. Well, how old are you now? How long is that?
A couple years, maybe 2-3 years, I think.
Oh, so you're 18 now.
The reason I decided to take politics at a high level. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Millie, with a beautifully delivered question and phone call. Let's go next to Jordan from Iowa in the non-member lobby. Welcome, Jordan.
Hey there, David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Perfect. Hey, thank you so much. Also first-time caller, so that's kind of cool.
I love it.
So my question is, I'm really interested in the upcoming election in 2024. With candidates like Andrew Yang and Michael Bloomberg, being more of eccentric kind of entrepreneurs, I think that's something that's kind of new in our election cycles, where we're getting more and more of those kind of candidates.
Yep.
Do you think that's going to be something that's going to be more popular as we go? And do you think that's going to hurt the Democratic Party as a whole with having more, options that kind of lean that way? Just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I don't know that it's necessarily bad for the Democratic Party. I mean, tell me, how would it be bad for the Democratic Party?
Just as far as in the current state, excluding Donald Trump, most of the candidates that are this way, like I said, Andrew Yang and Michael Bloomberg, they kind of lean towards those more progressive ideals and, the platform of the Democrats. So, not in a way that really mattered in the last election, but some of those votes that could have been maybe for Joe Biden or possibly a Bernie or Elizabeth Warren, those are taken by Bloomberg and people like him and Andrew Yang.
But Biden ultimately won the primary, so at least it didn't hurt Biden, right?
Yes, yeah, that's very true. And I guess, I don't know. Hopefully, our last election will be unique in the fact that it's going to be a one versus one kind of situation, and we'll have more of a depth of field. I think that would be more helpful, as far as trying to really align our ideals as both Democrats and Republicans.
What do you mean? Isn't it
Having
always one versus one at the end? I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Yeah, after the primaries, I suppose. But, I feel like, especially here in Iowa, with the whole Bernie and Hillary thing back in 2016, it really divided people, especially my age, in the conversation about, what it was to be a Democrat.
Yep.
Just because the race was so close between Bernie and Hillary. I mean, that would have changed the election entirely, I feel, if it went for Bernie in 2016 in Iowa. But I don't know. I just feel like that's the one thing that the Republicans have that make them so able to do well in the polls, other than, the way they set up their districts, is just that they're so unified in their message. And when you talk to, modern day Democrats, their ideals are a complete spectrum of different ideas.
That's for sure. Listen, I think that the dynamics of these presidential elections may be irreversibly changed, and I don't even know what 2024 is going to look like. And there's a lot of questions about what does the Democratic primary look like, because we don't know if Biden's running again. I think he's not. There's a question of what does the Republican primary look like, because we don't know if Scrumps is running again. So I think that we may be 2016 and 2020 may have been irreversible inflection points in how these campaigns and elections run. So I'm not making any predictions right now.
Sure.
All right, Iowa. Jordan from Iowa, very much appreciate it. Great to hear from you. Let's go back over to the member waiting lobby. Remember, you can sign up at joinpacman.com. We do have an absolutely beautiful coupon code. Obama. Yes, the code is OBAMNA. You can type it in, and amazing things happen when you do it. And it gives you access to the member waiting lobby as well. Why don't we speak next to David from Boise, Idaho? Welcome.
Hi, David.
Hi.
How's the connection?
The connection's good to very good.
That's lovely to hear. Let's see. I actually just joined this lobby. Yeah, I'm from Idaho, and politics are pretty crazy here. Just a few months ago, we had a primary where I basically was put in a position where I had to aggressively support a Republican because his primary opponent is a much worse Republican. Did you cover a while back? The Idaho lieutenant governor actually assumed gubernatorial powers like unconstitutionally. Were you familiar with that story?
I was not.
So yeah, basically every time that our governor steps out of the borders of our state, our lieutenant governor will basically do a sham executive order based on this idea that because the governor is not in the state, she becomes the acting governor and can do a bunch of crazy stuff. She banned mask mandates in schools.
So, David, I hate to interrupt, but I'm not familiar with what you're mentioning. Did you have a question for me today?
I didn't have a question. That's the crazy stuff going on in Ohio.
Well, let me look into it. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yes, I guess. What do you think the best thing to do politically for progressives like me in a state like this, where things are so dire, where the only competition is in Republican primaries between crazies and less crazies?
I mean, sadly, I think you're doing it, which is work for the less crazy and then try to get someone even less crazy to run against them, and on and on. Sometimes that's the best you can do. Or move somewhere else, quite frankly.
Yep. Well, thank you for choosing me, David. I'm sorry I was not as prepared as I wish.
That's okay. I know you will be next time. It is David from Boise, Idaho, with there's quite a matzo ball hanging out there politically. Complicated stuff in Idaho for sure. Why don't we go next to Blake from Portland, Oregon in the member lobby? Welcome, Blake.
Hey, David. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
So my question was, it seems like Joe Biden is like unwilling to do things like he could do by executive order, like decriminalizing marijuana, student loan forgiveness, and other like legacy moves like that.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
my understanding is that Biden cannot decriminalize marijuana by executive order. My understanding is that he can direct the rescheduling by the DEA of cannabis away from Schedule 1, and he can do some other things. But my most recent research on that does not indicate that Biden can just do that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Nonetheless, it feels like he's not doing much in terms of legacy or explaining what he wants to do to people.
Fair.
And so my question is, why did he want to be president? Because at this point, it feels to me like a bucket list item for him rather than actually wanting to run a country.
Listen, I actually think you're getting onto something that is very interesting. I think that Biden has wanted to be president for a while, and it just worked out that the opportunity was when he was close to 80 years old, and the timing made sense. And I think he's going to only run for the one term. I don't think he's going to run for re-election. And I do believe that Joe Biden was, beyond any imagination, the obvious correct choice rather than 4 more years of Trump, which would have been disastrous for the country. That being said, I never really believed Biden wanted to do much on student loans. I never believed Biden wanted to do much on cannabis. I mean, they just didn't seem like they were really important issues to Biden. Biden, I think, historically, depends on what happens, will be seen as a redirect president that stopped what was a crazy inflection point in 2016. Hopefully, that's the way he will be seen.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only unfortunate thing coming out of this, though, is it's really making the Republicans look good when they say do nothing Democrats, because it feels like he's not doing anything half the time.
And it's not literally true. I mean, I've given the list of things that Biden has done, but I know that it's been months without a big accomplishment, and we're getting towards a midterm, and soon Biden, if he wants to run again, will have to justify why anybody would vote for him, and his approval rating is in the toilet. So it's not looking great. I think any objective observer should be able to say that, even if you, like I did, voted for him because he was the better choice.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, David.
All right, Blake from Portland, Oregon, sort of a depressing reality, and it's okay. I mean, depressing realities, we need to know about them. We've got a super chat from Lauren who says, how can we have confidence in elections when we are voting under unconstitutionally mapped districts in Ohio? Yeah, I mean, listen, the gerrymandering affects some races and not others. It doesn't affect Senate races. It affects House races. It depends on what we mean by confidence. Do we mean that the votes will be counted, or that structurally things have been aligned to give an advantage to one side? And the latter, of course, is taking place. Let's go back over to our non-member waiting lobby. Many good questions being asked today. And I hope that continues, to be perfectly frank. Let's go next to Ben from San Angelo. Ben, welcome to the program.
Hello, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome.
All right. Well, let me get right into the question.
Sure.
So with the with the January 6th Select Committee basically going through and establishing the path that Donald Trump was on to stay in office, their mission at the end of it is to ultimately I guess ask or suggest legislation to Congress. But the weird thing is I haven't really heard what that may be, what legislative policies they may introduce. Do you have any idea what we may see?
No, I think they haven't said, because they're not done yet. I mean, I think they're going to come up with that, but they haven't said yet because I don't think they know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any, I guess, laws that you could go through, or anything you would like to see?
You're saying with regard to election integrity or preventing an insurrection, or what specifically are you saying?
Gosh. I guess to be specific on just preventing an insurrection.
I think it would be really great to have a new Voting Rights Act that takes into account just the modernity of the country and the size of the country. People who talk about what is done in France, well, France has a much smaller population than the United States. I think we just need to codify, and I'm not even saying that this is realistic, Republicans will be against it, but we just need to be able to codify and say, listen, we are now a country of more than 330 million people, and we are a country that, at least in some sense, has the possibility of being technologically advanced. We are going to enshrine vote by mail for everyone. Here's how we're going to prevent the so-called fraud that Republicans insist is going to be done. I would even be open to electronic voting of different kinds, and I know different people have different perspectives on that, but that doesn't really make a difference to me. Set up some new modern Voting Rights Act, a sort of call it even a 22nd century, give it a cool name, 22nd century, or the 2150, I don't know, call it whatever, 2050 Voting Rights Act. And we just kneecap the ability of states to do a lot of the stuff that they want to do to make it easier for Republicans to win. The problem, of course, is states do have a right, generally speaking, to decide how they run elections. So I'm not saying it's legally simple, but I think we need something like that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for answering my question.
My pleasure. There is Ben from San Angelo. I want to say thank you to Nina, who just sent a very, very powerful $99.99 super chat. Says, David, I think you do a great job. Also, congrats on your baby. Thank you, Nina. I really very much appreciate that. Let's talk to Robin from Salt Lake City. Robin, welcome to the town hall.
Thank you, David. It's nice to speak with you.
Likewise.
Hey, so I heard you talking earlier on your show about Christian nationalism and
Yes.
what an epidemic that's becoming. I just want to give you some feedback from a call that I had with you actually about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Where my spouse and I were at a family gathering, and my parents sort of held everyone hostage by making us pray and do a big group prayer. Didn't figure out at the time how to sort of deal with that. But over time, we stood our ground and we told them we weren't budging our opposition. And eventually they got to a point where they weren't really praying in front of us. Also the fact that out of my 5 siblings, we're the only ones that have given them grandchildren. That might have something to do with it. But just wanted to give a little bit of encouragement to everyone out there that on a personal level, you can really affect change like that.
That's amazing.
So I just wanted to give you, that feedback.
Now, let me ask you this. Do the parents do they throw in comments about being displeased? I'm guessing you're not raising your kids to be religious. Is that right?
Correct.
Do they kind of give you grief about that?
No. And honestly, I think the fact that we have been stubborn about where we stand has made them not want to do that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And so with our kids now, I have a 14-month-old, and it's really encouraging to know that that change can happen. So, but on that note, real quick, I wanted to ask you, what is the most challenging thing you found about being a father of a newborn?
Oh my God, there's so many things. I mean, I think the challenging thing is having to figure everything out while sleep deprived. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like the adding a layer of sleep deprivation to everything just makes everything complicated, but everything's sort of difficult. Like, is she eating too much or not enough? And is this normal? Is that normal? I have multiple friends who are pediatricians, and they've all been hearing from me text messages, pictures, making house calls. It's all extremely difficult.
Sure, I believe it. Well, for what it's worth, it seems like you're doing really great, and it's really cool to see you.
Well, listen, I think if you saw what's going on at 3:20 in the morning, you wouldn't necessarily be as confident, but I appreciate the vow of confidence.
Yeah, of course. Well, I appreciate you taking my call, David.
All right, thanks, Robin. Robin from Salt Lake City. What a beautiful phone call, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you to Dan Rumain. Dan just signed up on my website, joinpacman.com, and is new member number 2 today. We weren't expecting a huge membership inflow during the town hall, but it is always welcome. And remember, this town hall is brought to you exclusively by the Pacman Live YouTube channel, youtube.com/PacmanLive. If you're not yet subscribed to Pacman Live, please do. We are dangerously close to our first 30,000 subscribers on that channel. And it would be great, absolutely great, to see more people subscribed there. Let's go over to the member waiting lobby. Remember, everybody who signs up on the website gets access to the member waiting lobby. Let's go to Kevin from San Diego. Kevin, welcome.
Hello, David. It's great to talk to you.
Likewise.
I really appreciate that you switched to Discord. It allows me to use my nice mic rather than trying to call in on a phone or something.
Everybody
Anyway,
appreciates that.
Indeed. Well, so the main question I had is, every time I hear about the January 6th committee, whatever, like investigating stuff from somebody who is even slightly right-leaning, they're kind of dismissing it out of hand. Like, oh, nobody cares about that. Oh, that was like a year and a half ago. Like, they're just messing around. They're not actually going to change anything. They're not going to change everybody's mind.
Yep.
So do we actually know if the January 6th committee is actually convincing anybody new that Trump was responsible for it, or that it was actually a bad thing that actually happened and it wasn't Antifa? Or
Listen,
or people
I
who
know that they've convinced one person because one of my viewers called in and told me that, but one person is a very low bar. So no, I mean, listen, I do think that there's a lot of preaching to the choir when it comes to the January 6th committee. But at the same time, there are some people learning things they didn't previously know. And I think here's the thing. I'm reserving judgment on the how worthwhile this committee is until we actually see the full scope of repercussions, which we're not going to see still for potentially, 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to have some kind of like bombshell drop from that like really affects the 2022 elections or something.
Yes.
But it's kind of too much to hope for that to just change everything all at once.
Remains to be seen, but I will be there waiting with you.
I hope it happens. I'll be watching your stream. Stream more of that.
Thank you. All right.
What, do you have like a baby in the way or something? Jeez.
I should stream with the baby. That would be interesting. But
actually, yes.
That could be big for the ratings, as Trump likes to say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That would be very big.
All right. Hope to get back to San Diego soon. You guys have great weather, that's for sure.
It is a lovely place.
By the way, in San Diego, you know where I went that I loved? There's this like small taco chain.
Is it Tacos LG? Tacos El Gordo?
No. Is it called like Posto? Is that possible?
Maybe. I haven't been to every taco place in San Diego. It's rather expensive.
Anyway, it was fantastic tacos. They had brisket in these things. It's almost like it should be illegal not to have these tacos.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of incredible food places here, just of all kinds.
All right, good. Enjoy it. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Thank you very much. Very, very powerful declaration there. Let's go next to Mika from Massachusetts. Mika, welcome. Mika from Massachusetts, welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me try switching to
Oh, boy.
my phone. Is that better?
That is even better, yeah.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Right, so I had a foreign policy question for you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
What your general thoughts were on Biden's foreign policy, especially when it comes to diplomacy. I've been, really disappointed to see, any sort of lack of action on the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal. It seems that that's not getting any attention, even though it was, from my perspective, the greatest sort of diplomatic achievement in my young lifetime, at least.
Yeah, I don't think it's a priority for Biden.
The lack of action.
Yeah.
And what about, your sort of like broader feelings, like lack of action on, putting pressure on Saudi Arabia for Yemen, or just sort of a lack of interest in sort of any sort of diplomacy, even in the war in Ukraine? His response has been sort of admirable to some extent.
Yeah.
But sort of lacking any push for diplomacy. Is this what you expected?
Is
he exceeding your expectations?
It is exactly what I expected, Mika. I am seeing from Biden on foreign policy exactly what I expected, which is a very, very light touch might be the way that we would most positively spin it to some degree. But no, listen, Biden doesn't strike me as being super interested in anything right now. I see Biden as a guy at the end of his political career who has now achieved the top spot. He was really running as a stopgap. We got to plug the hole that was Trump. The country was leaking under Trump. And the idea was don't do too much of anything that's going to attract negative attention. Try to deal with COVID. Try to manage the belligerent political actors globally. And Russia is one of those. And I'm seeing from Biden exactly what I expected. And I'm not saying that it's the most exciting thing. I'm saying it's not, in fact, but it is exactly what I expected.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. And just to close out, I know you said you doubt he's going to run again in 24. Do you see any sort of nominees that you think you have a chance on
Sorry,
the
I don't
Democratic
think
side that
Trump
you
will
have
run
any
again
sort
or
of-
Biden. Who do I say won't run again?
Biden.
Biden. Oh, listen, I think that Gavin Newsom and Pete Buttigieg are very strong politicians. Whether the country wants them is a different question, but I think they're both very, very skilled politicians.
And do you have any hope for them on foreign policy, or no hope? Same with Biden.
With Buttigieg, we need to see what his foreign policy looks like. Newsom has been a governor, so I don't know that he has well-shaped foreign policy yet, but there will be time to figure all of that out.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the question.
All right. Mika from Massachusetts with some powerful declarations and different phone calls and things like that. I want to say thank you to Gordon Hall for gifting a membership at joinpacman.com. Let's go next over to the non-member waiting lobby. So many people wanting to chat. Oh, I don't know. What about Sam from Tacoma? Welcome, Sam.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Sam, you've got a an electrical hum that's even louder than your voice.
Oh, that's because I'm at work right now. I work at a manufacturing shop, and it is, I'm right next to this big machine.
Did you say you're next to a lathe?
Yeah, sort of like that.
Wow. I've jokingly asked callers, are you running a lathe in the background? But you literally work at a lathe place.
Well, a big manufacturing place. So this is crazy. I just joined your Discord, first try, and I get to talk to you.
Well, tell me,
awesome.
what is manufactured with the lathe?
So I'm like nervous now. Wow. We make big industrial equipment, like custom equipment. So we're in the building products industry, pulp and paper, advanced composites. We're sort of a strange outfit here. We do a lot of custom machinery. So a lot of everything.
Are you worried about Mike Pillow's lawsuit against all machines?
It's pretty vague, and it definitely will send ripples throughout all of manufacturing, and so
I agree.
I await.
Well,
I
listen,
stand by.
Sam, just on principle, you sound like a nice guy. I can't in good conscience allow a question with a lathe going in the background because it would just destabilize future phone calls. Is that fair?
I guess so. I didn't really have time to prepare. Is there any way can I cover up my mic and try to ask you one quick question?
Okay, I guess I'll accept it just for the comedic value.
Okay, because this is a question I've really wanted to ask for a while. So, a while ago, when the Supreme Court became overwhelmingly conservative, there was a lot of talk on the left of packing the court, and it seems like that idea has sort of gone away, died down.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you think, well, first off, why have we stopped talking about that?
Listen,
Especially
Biden was never going to try to pack the court. I said it back then. I think people have stopped talking about it because it's so obviously not going to happen in the next couple of years.
Okay, I must have missed you talking about that. For me, it was, people were talking about it was an idea, and then it suddenly wasn't. And then we see all these terrible things with the Supreme Court and the outcomes in our society, and you think, why isn't at least the progressive scene still talking about that? It's just completely gone.
All right, Sam, I got to let you go because of that lathe, but best of luck, and keep fighting the lawsuit against all machines. We have to do it. Let's go next to Noah from Montreal. Noah, welcome. Noah from Montreal, you are both muted and you have silenced your own headphones. So you're going to have some work to do in order to be able to talk to me. Noah from Montreal, please unmute, unsilence your own headphones. All right. Well, Noah's got all sorts of problems going on over there. Let's head back over to the member waiting lobby and see what's on people's minds, because it is full on down here. Let's go to Rick from Tampa. Rick from Tampa, welcome. Rick from Tampa, welcome to the show. Go.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, David, first time caller here, third time's the charm. You had two other people.
Thank you.
So I had two questions for you, actually. One a little bit more somber than the other. Regarding gun control, I've been trying to think, what could bring a congressman to change their mind, and we know without saying that this will happen, obviously, but do you think that it's going to take a situation involving them or their family to act, or do you think that they'll still take the money and pretend it didn't happen?
So listen, there's two schools of thought on this. One is, look at what happened recently. I don't even know the guy's name, but there's some Republican in the House who just voted against marriage equality and 3 days later went to his own son's gay wedding, right? So that's an example of someone where even their personal experience doesn't change their perspective. But there are a number of Republicans who have come around on gay rights when they had a gay or otherwise LGBT person in their family. And that got them to change their minds. So to some degree, I do think that if a horrible tragedy happened involving a gun and a mass shooting to a member of Congress, that they might change their mind and come around to some gun safety regulations. I do think it's possible that that would happen.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth, and that I believe as well. Well, thank you for that, and I appreciate that. The second one is actually a little bit more personal. I'm in Tampa. We just had the whatever deranged event.
Turning Point
this last
USA,
weekend. Yes, exactly. I did not pay enough attention to that. To be honest, I stayed home. I was scared of the aura in the city that day. But I had a question regarding a specific candidate, actually, Ken Russell from the Miami district. He's not even
Haven't
in my
heard of him.
district, but do you know him?
No, I have no idea.
Gotcha. Well, I think that he would be really interesting. He uses TikTok, out of all things, to really pass his message along, and I think he would be a great progressive candidate to replace Maria Salazar, which is in that district, and I think Miami would be very prone to that, especially in the swingness of it. David, thank you for taking me, and thank you for that very insightful.
All right,
David,
Rick
sir.
from Tampa, Florida. Let me issue a reminder. Please ask your question and make sure it is a question. Okay, that's just my only request. Let's go to our friend Nug Wrangler. Nug Wrangler, welcome to the program.
Oh, hello, David.
Hello.
So first, congratulations on becoming a father.
Thank you. Okay.
And my question is, what's going on with rent? Because it's crazy out here.
Sorry, what's going on with what?
Rent.
Rent.
Yeah, in 2019, I was thinking of moving, and there's a 1-bedroom for $1,900, and now that same place 3 years later is $2,600.
What city is that
in? Orange County,
California.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So rent has gone up. It sounds like we knew that.
Well, I've just been reading about on the American Prospect how private equity is just buying up real estate in these apartment complexes, and I'm seeing it because the Yelp reviews for all these different apartment complexes are all how management has gotten worse after the pandemic.
Yep.
And I'm wondering what maybe you would propose, and maybe some kind of I don't even know. I mean, there was a proposal of excess profits for gas, and I was like, maybe something like that for rent. I don't know.
Well, there's a couple different things. One is we do need more inventory. And when you just want to look at supply demand, we need more housing inventory. That would be one thing. The other thing is that I think we're going to see a turnaround now in the sense that we are starting to see the real estate market slow down dramatically. Things are taking longer to sell. There are more offers being accepted below asking. That tends to filter down, in a sense, to rent. Now, the counterpoint would be when these big corporations buy up huge apartment complexes, they can afford to just keep the rent too damn high for a very long time. So I don't have a comprehensive solution on rent prices, but I sympathize with you that it is a major, major problem right now. And we know it is from looking at the inflation numbers.
Yeah, well, hopefully something happens.
You got any more soundboard for me?
Yeah.
We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
Beautiful. All right, Nug, great to hear from you.
All right, thanks.
All right, there is Nug Wrangler with his own soundboard. I want to say thanks to Nina. Nina dumping in another $50 super chat. I would like to ask a favor. All friends watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. I'm sure it helps David. Well, even more useful than the like button is actually the subscribe button. It's a free button. We're trying to build piece by piece like a machine, folks.
We're doing a class action lawsuit against all machines.
The Pacman Live YouTube channel. So it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right, let's go over to the non-member waiting lobby. Hold on, let me see if I have anyone else to thank here. I don't. Let's go over to the non-member waiting lobby. And by the way, everyone sending me direct messages on Discord, I'm just blocking you. It's just, I have too much going on Discord. You're not going to get on by sending me a direct message. You're just going to get blocked. Okay, and I'll never hear from you again. I'm just sorry. I have to do that. It's too crazy. It's too crazy. Let's go next to... let's go to Daniel in southern New Hampshire. Daniel, welcome.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So my question is, how concerned should we be for the future of American politics in regards to celebrity politicians? We had Ronald Reagan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Trump, and now Howard Stern, as well as Matthew McConaughey and Kanye West.
What do you mean now Howard Stern? What's Howard doing?
Howard Stern has floated a 2024 political candidacy.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that he's really going to do that. Listen, we basically got the exact same question earlier, which I'm sure you didn't hear because you would not have asked the same question again, but I actually think we're going to see more of it. I think the move is going to celebrity and away from policy, significantly so. And I think we're going to see more of it. I think the genie is out of the bottle. The cat is out of the bag. We've scrambled the egg. You know, whatever you want to say along those lines. I think we're going to see more and more of it.
All right. I have another question, if that's all right.
Sure.
So do you think that AOC is eligible for running for president in 2024 because she's going to be 34 years old during the primaries, but her birthday is in October, about a month before the general election?
What I have read is that you have to be 35 at the time of the election, and maybe even at the time that you take office, but certainly at the time of the election. So I think she would be eligible.
All right.
But I think a lawyer could answer that more substantively than I can.
Of course.
All right. Daniel from Southern New Hampshire, thank you very much for the call. Let's go next to Garrett from Chicago. Welcome, Garrett.
Hi, Mr. David the Pac-Man, sir.
Sir, welcome.
So on your program, you talk a lot in terms of like practical policy in what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious if, on a philosophical level, if you are further left than the platforms you talk about on your show.
No, I don't play a character on the show. I just my personal politics and the show politics are exactly the same.
What I mean is like in your perfect world, like in your utopia, are you further left than your policy forward platforms you talk about on your program?
No. I mean, I advocate for social democracy, and I think that's what I advocate for. And in a perfect world, that's what I advocate for. I don't know if maybe I'm not understanding what you mean, but no, it's the same.
No, I think you understand. I have a second question, if that's all right.
Okay.
How would you? So a lot of people talk about de-radicalizing people on the right, but I feel like I and a lot of people in your community might have an issue with their friends being radical left.
Really?
Yeah, I have many, especially online friends, but also in real life friends who are radical left, and your program helped me de-radicalize from some of those beliefs.
What's a radical left belief, as an example?
So like, oh geez, as an example,
just a single belief that you would consider radical left.
So radical left being like decommodifying food like entirely.
Okay.
Like food should be entirely free and available to everybody, or like property should be free, like real estate should be free, like there should be no owned real estate.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there should be no owned real estate. I'm against, but I do think that it would be great to just choose to end homelessness by providing basic housing to everybody. And I think that we would save money by doing it, and on and on and on. I mean, sometimes the line between an extreme view or something quite reasonable is a kind of a gray area, you know?
Yeah. I was wondering if you had any advice for helping people like that take a more practical approach to the beliefs they have, rather than being so caught up in the philosophy of what is moral that in many instances they decide not to vote because they're so far left and nobody passes the purity test.
Yeah, I mean, in which case you don't really have to worry about them anyway, right? Because they're not voting.
But they are not voting for us. Like that, I see that as a negative.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Listen, the approach is the same as with a radical right winger. I mean, I think you start with a genuine, inquisitive, Socratic method of questioning, and you start asking questions about how these things would work in the real world. It's really not different than dealing with right wingers.
Okay. That's a good point. I will try that approach.
All right, Garrett from Chicago, thank you very much. Space Karen is dropping in a $5 super chat. I'm backpack. Take my measly $5. Great to see you here. Let's hear from a few more people over in the member waiting lobby. Like, for example, Chris from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Chris, welcome. Chris from Santa Fe, New Mexico, welcome. And Chris from Santa Fe, New Mexico, welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Just barely, Chris.
Hello, David, sir.
All right, we're going to let you go because I can't subject my audience to that audio quality. Let's go to the Cutter from Miami. The Cutter, welcome.
Hello, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi. So I'm just wondering, since it's an inherently undemocratic institution, would you support a total abolition of the Senate?
Yeah, I've talked about this before. I mean, listen, I do think we need two legislative bodies, but the Senate, as currently it exists, it is absolutely undemocratic, and it allows for tyranny of the minority, quite frankly. I mean, you have something like the senators representing only 17% of the population, controlling half the votes, and there's something crazy lopsided like that. So I'm up for dramatic reform of the Senate into something completely different, but I do think it's good to have two houses. But the Senate's horrible in a number of ways.
So, just an example, would you prefer to like make it work closer to like the House of Lords over in the UK, where they're more of a body that just reviews bills passed by the other house? I don't know if it's parliament or whatever.
I mean, listen, I think it would be better than what we have. I don't know that that's the dream scenario necessarily, but I do think it would be better than what we have.
All right. Just wondering, that's a popular thought I've heard from a bunch of people.
How are things in Miami? Is it hot there?
I mean, it always is.
Right. But you enjoy it.
Not really.
Okay. All right. The Cutter from Miami. Thank you very much for the call. Let's go next. Why don't we try Corey from Detroit, Michigan?
Thank you, David. Question. Have you ever thought about writing a nonfiction book? And if so, what topic? Thank you.
I am very early in the process right now. I've said before, I want it to be something I feel really good about. I don't just want to pump out a book like Dave Rubin or Don Jr. You know what I mean? I respect you too much to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good. So yeah, I'm early in early planning phases right now on a nonfiction book, and hopefully we'll have an announcement at some point.
Can you share the topic?
Well, I think it would just be a collection of topics from expanded things that I've talked about on the show that are important to me.
Understood. I look forward to it.
It would be like esoteric essays delivered in poetry slam format. No, I'm kidding.
All
It wouldn't
right.
be that. It would just be regular writing.
Gotcha.
Is that
Thank
a book you might buy someday?
I'd be interested in something either politics or sociology. I know you are also very knowledgeable in personal finance. To be honest, I would not read anything like that, but I enjoy
Beautiful.
sociology, biographies, things like that.
All right. You might take the book if it was cheap and was about politics, I'm hearing.
Sure.
That's fair. I appreciate the feedback. It's good for me to know. All right, Corey
you.
from Detroit, thank you very much. Let's go over to the non-member waiting lobby for a little bit. Why don't we talk to Eric from Prince Edward Island? Welcome, Eric. How are the muscles up there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, I tried to call in the last time it was around December, and there was some problem with it.
All right, very good.
Okay, so actually, I had muscles this year.
You haven't had muscles this year. Okay, that's fair. Still allowed.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm usually more a lobster guy, more than the muscles.
Fair. What's on your mind today, Eric? Did you have a question for me?
Actually, a couple ones. First one is you have. I was kind of funny because your previous caller was talking about radical leftists and how they de-radicalize. I'm actually libertarian socialist, and I'm actually more in the camp that we should abolish capitalism completely.
Okay.
Now, my question to you is really I've listened before in why you are not a socialist.
Right.
And I have been always wondering is what do you have against having the worker owning the means of production?
I don't have anything against it if that's a decision made by the organization as to how they want to be organized. What I'm against is having a legal dictate from the government that says every business just has to be divvied up among the workers.
But the capitalist system dictates that we have this theoretical situation where you have a parasite dictating everything under business control. And every single revolution beforehand, you had to have a revolution to establish. Capitalism had to be established through revolution. So why?
Well, they
so
can
why
try to do.
socialism-
I mean, if I guess the socialists could try to establish it via a revolution if they want. That they could do that. But I'm not sure that means that is the correct thing to do. I don't know that I follow. I mean, it's very authoritarian. I'm an anti-authoritarian. So for me to say the government's going to come in and tell private business owners, you have to give your business to your employees and divvy it up, that to me is very authoritarian.
But anarchism does not advocate for government. They actually want to abolish unjust hierarchies.
Okay, so you can do that through labor law. You can do that in a whole bunch of different ways without the authoritarian crackdown of divvy up every business.
But if you use, okay, you just said that you want to use law, correct?
I want to use law to do what? Now, so it sounds like you want to back me into a corner where you're going to say, you said you're against the government mandating a worker-owned business, but you're okay with the government mandating labor law as if it's some kind of double standard. But my point is, the government saying this is how you have to give away your business, that is very different than saying we are going to provide a regulatory framework to ensure fairness and safety for employees, et cetera. We're fundamentally talking in shades of gray. So yeah.
So would it be an agreement, for example, like in Jerry Corbyn, who said that we're going to use government money to fund socialist enterprise where worker co-ops type of deal? Like, are you?
I have no problem. I have no problem with a government that says we are going to encourage worker co-ops with some financial incentives. The devil is in the details. I don't have a problem with that fundamentally. No.
Okay. Are you also in agreement? Okay. Have you read the book, David Graeber's book, 5,000 Years of Debt?
I have not. I have not.
Have you heard of it before?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what do you think of the concept of wiping all debts every 7 years?
Okay, that's a totally different issue, and I can't deal with that. That's a completely different thing. I'm not sure about just why. I don't know why we would wipe everyone's debt every 7 years. That seems to encourage extremely irresponsible financial behavior. I don't know why we would do that. Eric from Prince Edward Island, thank you so much for the call. Let me go over to, I don't know. How about Lucian from England?
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Thanks for picking me. So I have a question mostly around, let's say, diplomatic, not orientation, but diplomatic inclination of nations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been quite troubling for me when I hear some of the rhetoric in the American Republicans, especially with, I think what's particularly stuck with me was after the Myanmar rebellion and how they said, I don't see how this can't happen here.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, if things did go awry and in 2024 Trump came back and all of this stuff started to make America lean way more to the right, what do you think America's role on the world stage would be? Would they start to align much more away from the West?
Yes. It would be what Trump, I mean, listen, just look at the people Trump liked and was impressed by. Putin, Duterte, Kim Jong-un, Erdogan, Bolsonaro, right? It doesn't have to go to Hitler, but yes, it would be in alignment much more with the people I just mentioned.
So sub questions on that. Who do you think would be America's new best friend per se? And who would
I don't
be
know. I
the
mean, it's
new-
hard. I'm not sure. Someone like the people I mentioned. I don't know specifically.
And who do you think would instead take the sort of lead in the democratic world? Would it be a European nation?
Yes. I mean, for a while it was sort of Germany. You know, at the beginning when Trump won, it was like, who's kind of the leader of the free world now? The idea was that it was Merkel.
Yeah.
Well, kind of depressing to think about.
Very much appreciate it.
My pleasure. Very, very much appreciate hearing from you. There is Lucian from England. Folks, we've gone 5 minutes beyond when I promised, but I do have to go. We will do another town hall in August. That is my promise. Make sure you are subscribed to the Pacman Live YouTube channel, a very, very, very important thing. And we will see everybody again very soon.